My name is Torfi Frans Ólafsson and I'm the senior producer of EVE Online at CCP. I've been here for 10 years. I've done a lot of jobs in like different areas of the game. Today I'm mostly responsible for keeping the vision for where EVE is going and knowing what's behind the hill, so to speak, and making sure that stuff gets done and the expansions get done and that they get done on time and that they're fun and that they have cool stuff in them. So Dominion is our upcoming expansion. It's kind of the fruition of, it's been brewing for a very long time, the stuff in Dominion. Our headlining feature for it will be a totally revamped sovereignty system. And we feel that the sovereignty system, the mechanics between like how you claim systems and how you then develop them, have been needing some love for a very long time. And listening to like the community, be it on the forums, talking to the CSM or talking to random player at just about anywhere, or just lurking in local as I sometimes do. Maybe in your local I am lurking. Then people have been wanting us to improve these mechanics, because this is the end game of EVE. I mean, we pride ourselves of being the big sandbox game where you define your destiny and it's the player's actions that define the big stories, and those are the stories that capture the news. It's not the role-playing stories, although they're important. It is the player-driven stories and events that drive the news. So we're improving those, and I can't go too deep into the exact mechanics. You will be able to see it on Singularity from September 15th onwards. But essentially trying to make it more interesting, less blobbing, less monotonous grinding, more cerebral, and to involve more people. Not just some random capital pilots, you know, to include a broad spectrum of people to like have fun out there killing each other. We'll also be adding speedboat missions that we refer to as speedboat missions, which are epic arcs which revolve around pirate factions, level 3 missions, where the focus is less on tanking or just bringing the biggest and fattest ship in there, but more about speed and agility and just rushing through it. We are taking a good look at the new player experience as always. We're doing statistical analysis on how our noobs are losing the plot, and are trying to improve the game and just make it more accessible to the people coming in and help them understand the potential it has, because there are so many things to do, and there are so many like features and paths you can go down that it's easy to get lost. And we're adding 2 new career paths, actually, exploration and advanced warfare, as a result of that. We're also redoing all of the planets in EVE, and this is just the planetary graphics. Planetary exploration comes later. That's not in Dominion, but we're doing the planetary graphics. So we've built this awesome procedural system for rendering different types of planets, and I think finally we'll be able to, you know, properly represent the 50,000 planetary bodies that are in EVE today. We will also be adding a new browser, like an in-game browser, which is essentially an HTML browser, and you might ask, why is that awesome? Why not just use Firefox and Alt-Tab? But this browser actually hooks into EVE. So you're going to be able to develop sites with special EVE functionality, just like the in-game browser today. So trusted sites and people that are trusted, they will be able to get information from the client, like what your system you're in, or who your character is, and then create services based upon that. Just imagine like EVE agents and other sites, how interesting those can be with full Ajax and Web 2.0 support. It's pretty cool stuff. Social networking is very important in EVE. I mean, the term social networking perhaps makes it sound a little too clinical or boring, but just being in a corp, the difference in ratting or hunting, like mining alone and just sitting in an NPC corp and not knowing anyone, and the difference between that sort of gameplay and being in a corp or an alliance and being with friends and making new friends, it's just two different worlds. So anything that we can do to help people have more fun and ease their alliance and corporation building, I think is a very good thing, because it just makes the experience so much more better. Where do I see EVE in 10 years? Well, EVE has already outgrown the game. It outgrew the game itself a long time ago, when we started to have player gatherings, when we started to have people probably when the first fan site was made or the first corporation website was made. It was already outgrowing the just pure binary code, application code and graphics that EVE and the servers that it is. And so it's become much more than that. I mean, EVE is, at least in my head, running, I'm thinking about EVE and I'm thinking about my character and I should train this and what my corporation is plotting, even if I'm not playing the game. So it's bigger, so it's in our minds. But from CCP's perspective, on our production perspective, we are of course introducing Dust 514, which is another EVE game connected to EVE, looking downward, not downwards, but kind of ahead. We are planning to do planetary interaction just within EVE as a feature within the game, and then give you avatars in Karna, and all of this is kind of a part of our vision to build EVE as the ultimate science fiction simulator, capable of bringing you every experience that you ever had or read about in a good science fiction movie or book, but it's but in a way that it's not spoon-fed to you. We want it to be emergent, so we want to build the biggest, most awesomest sandbox out there, where all of the toys are just yours for the taking, and not scripted by someone 5 years ago that decided what path you're going to go down, but it's pretty much all open. So I truly don't know where we're going to be in 10 years, but I truly hope that our players are still going to be with us and having as much fun playing it as we have making it.
So my name's Colin Finney and I'm a game designer at CCP. You know me as CCP Chronotus on the forums, and I've been working at CCP for 2.5 years now. The main focus within game design for me is science and industry, and I've been involved in most aspects of that since the beginning. I started on invention, and then I kind of moved on to different systems, manufacturing, research and development, mining, the Orca, the raw call, and some other balancing and other related issues that plague the dreams of the game designers here. I'm currently assigned to the domination team, and I'm helping Abathur and Grayscale with the game design of the sovereignty upgrade. My focus is more on the resource level, because sovereignty will look at enhancing the resources in each individual system, so you can effectively get a lot more people within a single sol system. And in that way, you'll be able to develop more of a community, more of a social aspect, rather than just having the one person per system you have now. And it's really terrible in how you can't fit that many people into 0.0. And so, my focus really is on making sure that the scaling of the resources is nicely balanced, promotes a lot of capacity for 0.0, a lot of evolving gameplay really. So you have the ISK, you have the pilots available, you have the targets for anyone who's going to come into your space. There'll be people in the belts, there'll be people in space, there'll be plenty of targets per system, we hope, eventually. And part of that will be looking at things that we consider break the current 0.0 model, like the moon mining aspect and tech tube reduction. Right now, we tried in the past with approaches like alchemy to deal with issues with dysprosium shortages, and really trying to evolve the system to deal with an increasing number of players and a static supply of moon minerals. And so I sort of focus on the nitty-gritty of resource inputs and outputs, and work closely with the research team and AOG to really try and create a model that limited resources brings war. It's Malthus. It's the foundation of war right now. People are fighting over the moons, over territory, and we're going to try and bring them the sort of resources to enable them to have lots of fights, but also enable them to forge smaller, more alliances and have real divisional fights over 0.0. Well, we're making several changes to moon mining, or at least looking at them, and there's a number of approaches we want to try and take there. The first one is really to remove the cap on dysprosium and promethium, the R64 moons as they're known. Right now they're worth a lot of money, like 16, 17 billion ISK a month. And there are these single points in space that are just gold mines. They churn it out 24-hour, 24/7, and it's really not promoting great gameplay over them. The ability to defend them, the ability to to try and take them is extremely hard. And so we're looking at really the dependency on the R64s, the dysprosium and promethium within the whole Tech 2 production cycle. So right from the reactions to the final building of the components, and then the building of for instance, the ships. And here one approach we're looking at is changing the quantities of for instance, reactors within Tech 2 ships, so that as a result you have less dysprosium required when you're building them, and altering the material so there's perhaps more armor plates or capacity units or trigger units, those kind of components. The cheaper components are required way more than the reactors are. The original quantities were kind of holdovers from the agent days when we used to give the components out as mission rewards, and so the quantities were very similar. They were like 20, 20, 20, and we didn't really think about the materials that came underneath them that made them, like the dysprosium and everything else that came with the moon mining patch later on.
Hi, my name is Chantal Suurmans. You might know me as Iris Discordia. I've been working for CCP as an employee for 3 years and a bit, and before that I was a volunteer for 2 or 3 years, I don't really recall. Anyway, I'm really old now in CCP standards, and right now I'm working as a senior game designer, although I don't do that much game design anymore because I'm a product owner, which is a function in Scrum. I'm working on MPE in Dominion, where I'm making life harder, easier for new players. Depends what kind of player you are. If you don't like to die, this is going to be horrible. And if you really want to get the experience of EVE, you'll get a real experience of EVE. The MPE team is adding a lot of new career paths. We're adding 2. One is aimed at advanced combat and the other one at exploration. In the advanced combat one, we try to give people a more realistic sense of what combat is like in EVE, so new players are gonna lose their ship to start it off with. I mean, if you play EVE long enough, you're gonna lose your ship, so you better get used to it and get used to it fast. Another thing that the Fibonacci team is adding to Dominion is the Fleet Finder. We kept it under wraps for quite some time because a lot of people don't see the connection with the MPE part. But in other games, if you are a new player, it's often really easy to find a group of other players and join them in their activity. Now in EVE, this has always been quite difficult. It's not easy to, you see a group of players and you can talk to them in local, but you don't know if they really want another person to join them or not. With the Fleet Finder, people who are in a fleet can register their fleet and say it's open. That means anybody can join if you have the right security status, for instance. And you can see what they're doing. So if you are a new player, you log into the game, you select the Fleet Finder, and you can see if there's a mining fleet 3 systems away from you. And if there is, then you know if you can join them.
My name is Christopher, CCP Soundwave. I've been with the company since April 2008. I am in game design. I'm currently working on the new player experience, basically from when you sign up to a trial account and like the next 2 to 4 weeks. Basically all the tutorial stuff, all the career paths, all the newbie stuff like rebalancing newbie ships and like the whole package. We are always going through the tutorials that are currently in the game. And basically we have a load of statistics that tell us where things are broken. So we go through all the steps of the tutorial, see what needs changing, what needs to, just go in, out, and we're adding new career paths. Basically, like, exploration is becoming a much larger part of the content. You have wormholes, you have signatures, anomalies, scannable dungeons, and it seems like it's a little bit neglected in the early game. So we're adding a career path for exploration where you'll learn how to find anomalies, you'll learn how to find signatures, you'll learn how to probe stuff down, salvaging, hacking, drinking a beer in less than 5 seconds, archaeology, all the other parts of exploration. We're also adding an advanced combat tutorial, which will teach you some of the not so PvE oriented sides. So you'll learn how to warp, scramble, web. There will be player death in it. One of the holy grails of game design is that you can't kill your own players early in the game because it discourages them. But we're basically making an entire career path based on killing players. So, we might just go broke with this career path, but we don't know yet. Yeah, Fleet Finder. Fleet Finder is a new thing we're putting in. It has it was initially something we thought would help new players get together and form lasting relationships forever, where they find friends and get married and move to Canada and all that stuff. But we kind of also found that it has an application for 0.0 fleets. It's basically an overview where you can see sea fleets. So for new players, it would be ideal to see other new player fleets. But for 0.0 alliances, obviously you want to find your combat fleets, you want to find your mining missions, and of course key to keeping this a usable feature and not just a feature to go out and mercilessly kill people that don't have a clue is setting some restrictions. So I mean, it's not just making a fleet and it pops up for everyone. It's being able to make a fleet under certain criteria and being able to filter location and size and all that stuff that you don't really want to give everybody. So it's going to be a very open tool for new players, but a very very closed and directed tool for older players. It's going to be pretty awesome.